Hey, it's me, Angela. This is for Trinity Energy Progression Facilitators. I was going to write this out in an email to everyone, and then basically it would be easier and faster for me to just do this in a video, because this is really, really pertinent information that's really out there. I haven't shared it with many until now because it is really out there, but my guidance is really pushing me to do so. So here I am, and you will listen to this when you need to, or when you're ready to. So yeah, let me see if I can backtrack, because it really helps. It's really all about us moving forward and where we're going to have to, what's next for all of us moving forward. So apparently, something that I had gotten this clarity on over the last several months, and I know I've said this for many, and to many of you, actually, probably when you took class and when I teach class, is that I know that I'm just like, say, the project manager, right? And we all agree to this. And what I got really big clarity on in the past couple of months has been that as being the project manager, I sort of hold a central magnet of pulling some things back together that we have dispersed to hide in plain sight during this time leading up to now, right? So the key is that it's time for us to be 100% authentic and uncover everything that is hidden. And to do so, it is really important for us to access everything, recombine it, and really shine our lights. So when I talk in calls and discussions about how we've gone through this period of time in the past several months where basically the stuff that is most hidden to us is coming forward from the ego. And the stuff that the ego is really masterful at hiding, it's basically like our gravity, so invisible and so much a part of who we are that we don't even see it, because we have conveniently hidden it in plain sight. So now what's happening is it's been getting forced front and center. Okay, so it's important for me to bring this up now because there's a lot around this. And the reason that's important, what I've been saying and talking to people about, is that we are a collective of a sort that was planned to come here at this time and be a huge part of the seed of remembrance. And it's not just so. This particular collective tends to be what we have framed and defined as Trinity Energy Progression, which then attracts the people who hold that seed back together. It was just the way that we had agreed to do that. And there are two, actually, I understand. But anyway, and there are other collectives being drawn together to bring together other stuff too, so that we can put the pieces of the puzzle back together while we are all still here. So in our particular case, there is what I called in meditation the seed of remembrance and the seed of forgetfulness. And it had to do, and we basically split it up, and it's outside of space and time, it's outside of any lineage. It basically comes straight from the Hathors. It was created, where that part of us is straight from the Hathors. If you don't know what they are, look them up. Basically, they're sort of what we call the elders, the original Council of 12 or whatever, but it just gets so big, it's really challenging to explain with any linearity at all these days. So anyhow, that doesn't matter. It's time to activate the seeds. To activate the seeds, we all have to be past this invisibility limitation, the limitations that are invisible. Those are our safeguards. Those have been our safeguards to hide those pieces of the seed in plain sight. And ask me why. I look at it as a video game. It's sort of like, well, we had to save our trump card until, or whatever, the thing that will allow us to shift into the next existence finally and end this cycle that keeps on repeating itself, was to do it differently, and part of it was to hide these pieces within us under plain sight. So now it's time to activate these two seeds, the seed of remembrance, the seed of forgetfulness, bring them back together to germinate the wholeness, the remembrance of the wholeness. acceptance of the dark and the light. We've been talking about that, the Lilith and Lucifer connection, and the creation of separation and forgetfulness and darkness from that. So that now it's time for us to incorporate and embrace and bring all that back together. But it's something, and how it has been shown to me are these two seeds. So anyhow, I would say 3 to 4 years ago, somebody who I was working with, she and I would have these regular interchanges like several times a week. We do a lot of work for the collective and everything. And at some point, she had been holding this thing that she called the black box, and it was hidden. And at the right time, it was time to let it go. And so she let it go. There's so many things connected to that are sort of actually, so many things connected to that for when it came to the surface, this is what would happen. And guess what? 4 years later, something like some events that we had seen have just come to play in my reality. So, interesting. So we called it the black box. So, I don't know, about a week, and I keep on getting this like I've been called seed walker out there in the ethers. So meaning that I'm to pull the seed back together. Like I am the prism through which all this stuff comes back together, because it's just the project manager job, right? So then, I don't know, like a week ago, time irrelevant, I had a dream, and one of us here came to me in the dream. He handed me the black box and said, hold on to this, don't let them know you have it, blah, blah, blah. So I was sort of uncomfortable with that because I was inauthentic and it was fear-based and all that. Anyhow, so the message today came through to be authentic and truly stand in this and talk about it, because it's, and actually talk about it to you guys, because it is so important on your own individual journeys right now, because, and I believe specifically the biggest parts come from those who are facilitators now. So the agreement was to really hide your pieces of the seed as a seed inside of you and cover it up with the coating of what it is you're invisible to that limits you here, so that you wouldn't see it until the seed would not be ready to come to surface, to germinate or come back together, until you could look at that part of you so that you could shine your brightest light. So this is what I mean when I've been talking about how I know there are many who are going through some really intense, deep stuff that they've never looked at before in the same way. And they might have looked at a piece of it, but it's sort of creating a little bit of a crisis in many people's lives, so that they have to look at it, because apparently me getting the black box in my hands, whatever, for lack of a better term, these are all just the metaphorical things, me getting it to hold, and I sort of feel like it's something that's an energetic magnet to bring all the pieces back together, has sort of shaken up all of the seed parts to come out and come back together. So of course I probably be irritating people left and right, even without even having direct interaction, but that's fine. It's all love you. I love everyone. I love everyone involved with this, because it's so fantastical and amazing and beautiful in the symphony. It's just getting past this crisis period. And some may have already gone through it, some may be going through it, some may be starting to come to it. But what's happening is it's now being shaken up and wanting to come out to the surface, and anything covering it is getting shaken loose. So that would also cause a crisis energetically. So the only thing I can say about that, and what I've been guided to tell you about, and this is what's important, is that's why many feel paralyzed and they can't get through anything but today. And forget about teaching classes, forget about seeing clients or helping others. The self-work comes front and center, of course. But what's happening is we're putting ourselves in this crisis mode, saying, not distracting, or getting to a place of saying, I can't look anyplace else, or all this stuff is getting taken away from me until I can't look anyplace else but right in front of me, and what this big thing is. And so how we deal with that, and I call it a crisis, but it's only how we deal with it. If we flow with it and we say, it's all perfect, it's great, it's going to allow me to truly shine. This is really, there's my yawn. For all of us to truly shine as one of as the collective together, as well as individually. We have to get through this individually. so that we can shine together. And so I sort of feel like how it was handed to me to activate out there, force the hand of some things that have been, avoided by pieces and parts of all of us. So it sounds really out there, like I said, but what doesn't these days? My guidance was to put this up here and let you know, because really flowing through this, accepting and looking at it, even if it causes a sob fest or whatever, it's really productive and it's really important. And I'm feeling like the more that now, whatever this thing is that's been activated to pull everything back together, that it's really going to shake things loose. If we fight it, it's going to just be more of a crisis instead of just a letting go and a surrender. So, and it serves us, because whatever that thing is that we've used individually as a, I guess as a shell, right, to hide it, it's time to be authentic and say I don't need to hide anything anymore, including the things that limit me, and I can look at those and love those. And when we do that, we become the best of who we can be individually and together as a group. So, you might need to play this back a couple times. You might need to hear me talk about this about a zillion times. But I have had extensive conversations with several, but this is all it has led up to. What has led up to this has been all that stuff with the Lilith and the Lucifer stuff and the darkness and that. And it's all this incorporation. And like I said, it is quite beautiful and amazing. So, that's all I have to say for now. The rest will be in a letter to everyone, or whatever, an email to everyone on what's coming up. We have the facilitator retreat, which I feel like will be much needed, and I had hesitated to have it in May or June, and wanted to put it in September, October, and I got, no, you might need both. So we're going to do one in May or June. It looks like maybe early May. It will be Mother's Day weekend, whatever, which is perfect. Divine Feminine or Divine Masculine. I'm not even sure yet. So it's Mother's Day or Father's Day weekend. So it's the beginning of May or the end of June. So get back to me on that, because as anybody who's been on these retreats already with me know, it's always, yes, I always give updates. There are always energetic updates. There are always updates on teaching, on understandings, on how we do this whole practice. But that's always just a facade for the energetic stuff. That's the reason for us to get together. And it feels like it's going to be just even more tremendous than before. So, planning on a very truly magical place, Orcas Island in Washington State, and hopefully you can come. But because it will be a real powerful weekend, and now I sort of get the need to be on the water flow. Speaking of flow, being on the water, as well as on the mountain, and letting everything sort of flow through and come together. And I'm not even sure what that's going to look like by then, because that's a whole 4 months away, or 5 months, depending on when we go. So, love you all. If you have any questions, call me. Let's do shares. Don't fall off the map right now. And I know part of it is challenging to not do that when we're going through something like that, because we just want to sort of curl up into our shell. But actually it makes it easier when we can talk about it, because sometimes we see things better when we're talking about it. And I know that I've had that happen myself, when it's come out of my mouth and I hear it and I'm like, oh, how did I not see that before? A lot of stuff like that. So love you all. I'll talk to you soon. Signing off for now.